Yo, what's up, Hoops Tribe? We're here for another edition of Let's Talk Hoops. I'm Cassie Chantel, also known as Coach C, and I'm with Deidria One-on-One, our favorite cousin. We have a lot to get into today. Like, we had a long week of basketball. It feels like Christmas for basketball lovers. The WNBA is so back. So last week we talked about the Washington Mystics roster, the Vegas roster, and we dropped some tidbits on Indiana. Today we're going to get into a lot. We're going to start with the injury report and some player waivers because there was a few. We're going to get into some of the preseason matchups and some of the other things I'll leave for a surprise. So before we get into all that, I want you to go over the injury report. Can you give us that long, long list?
Man, listen, there have been more injuries so far than anything. So we have Katie Lou Samuelson, who tore her ACL. Sad news for Seattle, man. That was a shooter. Then for the Dallas Wings, we had Ty Harris out with a knee injury. For the Aces, we have Megan Gustafson out with a lower leg injury. We have Dana Evans out with a lower leg injury. For the for the Chicago Sky, they actually didn't have anyone out. And then for Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark was out with a lower leg injury. And then for the Mystics, Georgia Amore tore her ACL. Shakira Austin is out with a lower leg injury. And we've got Aaliyah Edwards with a lower back contusion. Like, this injury list was so long.
And
Ugh.
honestly, that's just the active like players. Like we didn't even talk about Benijah Laney Hamilton, who is going to miss like most of the season. They're talking about suspending her contract.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because I don't think we've seen this many knee injuries happening preseason or this many lower leg injuries. So they have to do some research into this and figure out what's going on and different preventions.
I understand like why teams are kind of like mysterious. Like some of them don't actually list what the injury is. But as a fan, I really want to know like what is the lower leg injury? What is the Ty Harris injury? Because I really didn't even know that she was out with the injury.
Yeah, she was listed on the injury report. She popped up late on the injury report for the game, but there's no information on what her injury is specifically, right? Even with Caitlin Clark with Shakira Austin and their lower leg injuries, it's just lower leg injury. We don't know if it's the calf, we don't know if it's the ankle, we don't know any of that. And I mean, like you said, I get why they hide it, but having more insight, I think, helps too for more research on what we can do to prevent these type of things.
Right. And then sometimes it's a precautionary thing, like, because it could be tightness, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like an injury in what we're thinking of it. Because with Caitlin Clark, I've seen some rumors of it being like tightness in her leg. And that is important because it's preventative, really. Like,
Yeah.
tightness, if you're going into a game and you have a tight calf or tight hamstring, that could lead to an injury, even though it's not necessarily an injury. It's kind of what Flage was going through right before, like with her shins, right before the tournament had started in the NCAA.
Yeah, and I mean, if you, even when you think about during the NCAA tournament, oh, NCAA tournament with Juju, and she had a prior ankle, like she like rolled her ankle the game before, and then went into that game obviously not being 100%, and then ended up tearing her ACL. So yeah, it's really important to know those kind of things because sometimes the players really just need rest.
Right. Rest is so important. That's why I'm glad Asia Wilson dropped that interview where she said that she prioritized her rest. And I hope other athletes take that into accountability for their own careers because we need to rest just as much as we need to train.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So moving into some of the waves, like what's the report on some of the waivers?
Well, all right. So obviously preseason, we had a few waves, one from the Aces, one from the Mystics, where Elena Tineski from the Aces and Taylor Soule from the Mystics got waived. But then just after the first preseason game, Dallas waived Kiki Herbert Harrigan as well as Mackenzie Forbes. Then the Sky, they waived Tilly Boyler, Ariella Girantes, and Sammy Pasillas too, which I didn't think that we'll get into this, but I didn't think that they played that badly to warrant a wave. But I guess they saw something that we didn't see.
Yeah, and some of these pickups are like, why'd you pick them up in the first place? When you kind of look at the roster, but I guess it's double-edged because it's like on one hand, you're like, why did you pick them up to waste their time? But then also on the other hand, it's like, this is still a great experience, whether they get the opportunity to play or not. And it can prepare them moving forward to maybe next season or before they go international or unrivaled, because we still don't really know how unrivaled is going to handle like their rosters for next season. Like, are they going to only pull from the WNBA, or are they going to allow some players that maybe didn't make the WNBA team or make a WNBA team and let them on unrivaled roster spots? I'd be very interested to see like a player that didn't necessarily make a WNBA team play an unrivaled, because I think it could prove a lot and it could give them the opportunity to maybe make the league in a future season.
Yeah, and I also forgot the Valkyries waived Cheyenne Sellers. So that kind of segues into what you were saying because Unrivaled mentioned they wanted to have a pool of relief players. And I feel like a lot of these players that were waived or some of them that didn't make the roster, that necessarily didn't make the cut prior to training camp, could be within that relief player pool. And even some of these draftees that are being waived, we've got Alyssa Utsby out of Los Angeles was waived, right? And she was someone that they invited to their training camp afterwards. And Anna Lee Miley, I think is her last name. She's Australian. Dope, like 3-4 position player. Also got waived out of LA, but like those players would be perfect for Unrivaled. They're fast, they're quick, they're pretty aggressive. So I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, speaking of Cheyenne Sellers, she has the internet streets in a tizzy right now because she was waived so early, like before the Valkyries could even play a preseason game, and she was a higher level draft pick. So people are stunned. Natalie released a statement that kind of said a bunch of nothing. Like it was one of
Yeah.
those politically correct statements that was just like, I'm looking for the best fit. That might not be the best players, but it's the best fit for the 12 that we need. And while I understand it to a certain degree, like what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, so it's tough because Cheyenne was one of my favorite draftees, on and off the court. She's got a very reserved personality, so I figured being in the training camp with someone who she played before, Chloe Bibby, maybe would have brought her personality out a little bit more, made her a little comfortable. I It's a surprising but not surprising move. Surprising because brand new franchise, you want to capitalize on anyone that you can get in there, right? Especially a player as dynamic as Cheyenne, but also not surprising because although she is a wonderful player, she may not have been the best player for that system, right? And that's something that we run into a lot, which is sad, but it's part of the business and a part of the game.
Now that Natalie has said all this, I'm really interested to see what the system is. Like, I feel like I'm
Yes.
I'm gonna be judging her a little harshly. I'm not even gonna lie, like because I want to know what the system is because I think that Cheyenne is a more valuable player than some of the players that are left on the roster. And I understand personality issues or, more than a lot of people. Like I understand how that is important to a team. I feel like I'm an empathic person. I'm a cancer. I'm all about emotions.
Yeah.
So when I first saw some of Cheyenne Sellers is like her interviews, I kind of got a feeling. I was like, she is reserved. I know how things can be when you're in these, because it's kind of corporate. Like, even though it's the WNBA and they're playing basketball, it's still a little bit corporate. We still have to take an accountability, like marketability,
Yeah.
how a person is going to be perceived. And I know that she had a lot of, well, not a lot of, like on the red carpet or the orange carpet at the WNBA draft, there was that
Yeah.
situation where Rakia Jackson and the other woman called her the wrong name. Like, and then on top of them calling her the wrong name twice, they put the wrong name underneath. Like the WNBA, whoever's running that, put the wrong name under there. So it's like the way that was handled, she was a little stiff in that moment. Like it could have been a situation where she kind of laughed it off or kind of played it off, but she didn't. And I
Yeah.
think when I saw that, it was telling to me and I got a feeling. I didn't speak on it because I don't like to speak on everything that I think.
Yeah.
but I did have that feeling. So I think even though it wasn't said, I think some of it might have been personality. Not that she had issues with anybody necessarily, but it didn't fit the personality of the majority of the team and maybe not even the personality of the coaching staff. And that's why I mentioned like earlier today, just in a thread, that I would be interested to see if Minnesota picked her up because I think that she might be a Cheryl Reeve type player. Like I think she's more serious, and that's the vibe a little bit of the Lynx. Even though they have that comedic relief with Courtney Williams, I think they are the more serious team of the W. So I want someone to give her a chance. I think that she would have a better opportunity maybe with some vets.
Yeah, and I was also thinking Connecticut would be a good landing spot for her too, because Coach Rashad is he's very serious when it comes to like gameplay, but off the court he seems a little bit more like open. But they have a bunch of vets over there too, and some of those vets haven't been hooping in this league in a while. And I think that'd be good for her as well. I think she could fit both systems, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if during the international break where a lot of players go back over to represent their country, if she's signed to a hardship during that time for Golden State to come out. I mean, we already saw it happen with Jalen Sherrod last season.
Yeah. That would be very interesting because I didn't even think about that break period when the international players go back, and there are a lot of international players in the league right now. So, yeah, you make a very valid point in that regard. So, moving into the Vegas versus Dallas preseason matchup, I would rank that number two in my favorite preseason games thus far. So, just off the top of your head, what are your highlights of that game?
Oh man. Well, okay. So a couple of my highlights from that game. Zaza and JJ Quarterly. Man, those two rookies came in and hooped. If we talk about playing for your spot to stay longer, they did exactly what was needed to be done. Um Also, Nalisha Smith. I had been waiting for Nalissa Smith to play like how she did. She was aggressive. She was playing free. When she even attempted that three, I was like, okay, baby's got a little bit more confidence this season than last season. Love that. Arike, I think, did some good stuff on the defensive end. I was very impressed with that from her. And Baby Paige, you know what? Offense, she shot 53%. That was wonderful for her, right? That's within her wheelhouse and her range. But also just taking the heavy screens, like taking the, shove off from Jackie, doing other things. Like Paige really impressed me with her strength for this.
Jackie knocked the
From
wind out of
Dallas.
Paige.
Yo.
She knocked the wind out of Paige. Paige like had to, hunch over for a second to like recoup from that hit from Jackie.
Yes, yes. Did you see her little flex after Nalissa blocked Asia? So
I didn't see that until somebody like I posted a TikTok like about it. I honestly didn't see it in game. I had to see it on social media.
it was
That was
so
cute.
cute.
Yeah, that was cute. I honestly was shocked about, well, I don't even know why I'm shocked because we talked about Becky last episode, right? But
Yep.
I was a little shocked that she played the starters, like the main characters, as much as she did. And I think that this preseason game just gave us what to expect moving into the season with the Aces. Like she's gonna work them. She's gonna work
Yeah.
she's gonna work Asia Wilson. I was like, when is she gonna give Asia a break? And I understand that, every coach going into preseason games have their own method to their madness, right? Like some of the coaches with the more veteran teams are playing for chemistry. Like they're not playing the
Yeah.
rookies as much because they're trying to get the chemistry. And then the Aces are fairly new because they have Jewel Lloyd in that lineup now. Tiffany Mitchell is getting more playing time. I think she was dealing with an injury last season.
Yep.
So I get it. But then, as a fan, I'm like, I want to see the rookies play. Like this
Yeah.
I want to see how their game translates in this moment. What can they do in the W? Because they're probably not going, a lot of them are probably not actually going to make the team. And if they do make the team, a lot of them aren't really going to get minutes, during the regular season just because of that learning curve. So I would have liked them to have a little bit of a moment. Deja Kelly, she did what she had to do with the little minutes that she got. I think she got maybe like 6 minutes or something
Yeah,
like in the game. So she did what she could in that short of time. Aaliyah Nye really stood out to me because it's like, oh my gosh, I knew that she was a 3-point shooter, but I didn't expect her to knock down like that from day one. She has me really excited for what she can do with this Aces team. And with that being there, that could be an X factor. And with that piece, I feel like they can go further than what I expected. Like I have them as number three, but honestly, with New York taking the hit with Benaja Laney Hamilton like not being available for most of the season, I think they could easily be one or two at this point. Like I don't know, we have to see, but I think that she could be a major factor if she can continue to do that for them. Paige, it pretty much gave me what I kind of expected because she's a player that is so chill. Like she doesn't force the game. She had 10 points and that's it's kind of on brand for what, to expect. Because when I think about Paige's point production in her rookie season, I don't know if she's gonna give us what, Sabrina Ionescu gave us, what
yeah.
Caitlin Clark gave us, even though she has that expectation or could have that expectation. I don't know. She could be more like Nafisa Collier in her rookie season. And it's not to say that Nafisa Collier didn't have a great, she averaged like 13 points her rookie season. And I could see her being on brand for like maybe a lower scoring rookie season, maybe getting, good production in her assist. Like, cause I know she's an unselfish player. She's going to want to feed Enrique. But I'm just curious to see how much more aggressive she becomes as the season progresses because I would have wanted her in some of the moments to be a little more aggressive, but when she did, she got to the
Yeah.
basket.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's just like she can probably score whenever she really wants to, but it's sometimes like she has to want to.
Yeah, so passive page, right? Passive page showed up to this game. And across her career, we've always said, and even Gino's reiterated this, when passive page shows up, the offense doesn't really get going, right? Because she can make her own shots. And I think being beat by as much as they got beat by, might we might not see passive page for a while because I feel like that's gonna light the fire. And she's just gonna be like, nah, I'm just gonna be aggressive as hell. I'm gonna take my shot. Because she's got the strength to go up against some of these guards that we have in the league, you know? Um, Aaliyah and I, man, listen, so you saw my roster prediction for the Aces, and one of the things that I was concerned about with Leah was her fouling in her defense. She shut me up real quick during that game. Let me tell you, and I am glad that she did because she was on it. She literally was in everyone's face. She was making it so it was hard for them to get around her, and then she was still quick to get to her spots on offense to hit a three or to even she at one point deflected the ball away so that someone else can get it. So she definitely hustled quite a bit. Harmony Turner, for the little time that she had, defensively great. Offensively, it wasn't there, but that's what I expected because she's not going to be one of the primary options. I think the reason why Becky kept her in training camp so far is because the little things that she does, the steals, the deflections, the passes, her assist, because she did get an assist off of one of those buckets, and her hustle. That's why I think she's there. And Liz Kitley, man, for someone who hasn't played ball in 2 years, it showed definitely when she was running up and down the court. But other than that, her effort on the defensive end, I could appreciate that she was out there setting screens, doing her roles, like really trying.
I really hope that she gets the cardio that she needs like when she's not playing, get the training that she needs to get back in shape because she's definitely a piece that the Aces could use. And if she's probably not going to get the playing time this season. I really don't anticipate that happening. So I still believe that the Aces are going to need to look into getting another forward. Like they're probably going to suspend at some point anyway, Cheyenne Parker Tyus' contract due to the pregnancy. So just keep that in mind. I just want to
Right.
keep that in mind that the Aces are still missing that piece. How do you feel Jewel Lloyd looked in the Aces lineup?
So I don't think she got enough time to get into her groove. As we know, she's a volume shooter. She's got to take a lot of shots to really get into her groove and really get her magic going. Initially, I thought some of her shots maybe weren't the smartest shots to take, but I understand she was trying to put on a show for Notre Dame and really give them what they paid for. Uh, but but I think I think not being a primary or secondary option is going to be a problem. I already see it being a little bit of a problem. And it actually surprised me how her shots were because she practiced with Jackie, Asia, and Chelsea. They ran through several training sessions together. And obviously they've been in training camp. So I would think the chemistry would be a little bit more there, but it's early. It's early. We'll see. You
Yeah,
know.
it's early. That's pretty much what I have to say. Like, I agree with you, and I've been agreeing with you like before they even played a game because I've always felt like I don't know how that's going to work. I do think that the Aces play like NBA basketball. Like I feel like their offense looks like NBA style basketball and they take quick shots. And I think it'll work when she's on. What I don't want to happen is Jewel Lloyd from last season to be what the Aces get because last season was not her best season and she was really inefficient. So I'm hoping that she can find her groove for the sake of my roster predictions, and I would love to see the Aces go back,
Yeah, yeah,
go back to the championship. Yeah,
she's got to get it going.
yeah. So moving into the Chicago Sky and Brazil matchup, I was underwhelmed with that game just because I personally didn't know going into the game that some of the Brazil players were going to be like freshmen in college. And I'm like, I understand why, they play this game. A lot of it is, to bridge the gap in international play in the WNBA and, show unity with women's sports all around. I get that. But for a preseason matchup, like I want to see the teams taking this time to really get their stuff together. I don't know, but I mean, with that said, and with them being like I guess a lower level team, the Chicago Sky struggled. I mean, I guess they got it together pretty quickly, but at the 4 minute and 40 mark, like after Tyler Marsh called that timeout, that's when they really started to get it together. But really, it wasn't a big enough margin in the win for me.
Yeah, and also the thing about the Brazilian national team, they were missing two of their really good players, with Dantas being with the Indiana Fever and Camilla being with Chicago, and that's a lot of the offense that they tend to run. Um, I okay. Everyone knows Ariel Atkins is one of my favorite players. Always has been, always will be. And I put out a thread before the season started, preseason training camp, that said I need her to be aggressive and not passive. What we saw was passive Ariel Atkins. And it was her trying to fit into this new system and her passing up on shots or the shots that she did take wasn't quality shots either. And she was a little off on it. And for me, I'm just like, man, this is what I'm talking about. I need you to, what's that saying that the kids say? I need you to know who you are and remember who you are, right? Um, so yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointment for me, but man, I don't know. I don't know. The offense I think can work, and I understand Tyler, just like everyone else, is trying to find the right rotations, but the bench looked better. The bench coming in looked better than the starters.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I will give them credit for just comparing it to last season, the camaraderie and the passiveness, like literal passiveness, like them making the extra pass, the ball rotations, it just looked a lot better
good.
from last year. And that's what I'm already excited about. I'm excited about the Courtney Vandersloot to Angel Reese, production. I think that Reese is still Reese. Reese showed us a lot of what we saw during Unrivaled, how her shots getting better, how she's getting more efficient around the rim. She's still the workhorse of the team. She works harder than everybody out there. And with that said, I don't know how well the duo of her and Camilla works. Like ideally, like I think it sounds good and it looks good on paper, but I just don't see. I would prefer Camilla coming off of the bench, and I want to see what the starting rotate, like what the starting lineup looks like with Reese and Elizabeth Williams in that high low like kind of fit because I just don't think and it's more so defensively. I feel like defensively, Camilla is a little bit slow on those rotations and it's costing them. And they're going to get cooked in the post. Like when I just think about Chicago playing the Aces, like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
scared. Like if they don't figure this out, like I don't know what it's gonna look like when they play post players that are active and can move because Camilla's just a little slow in that regard. So unless they make some changes with what type of defense they run, then it's gonna be hard because what I noticed is that teams just pull Camilla out. Like they're playing, it looks like they're playing man, but there's different ways that you can play man to man. Like so right now she's playing man, and when they have Brazil's team pulls out their center and Camilla's guarding them, Camilla's all the way near the 3-point line or she's like right in that high post area. So all they have to do is quickly rotate the ball and they hit that weak side. And now that offside defensive player has to come over and it's always just like a half a second too late. And it just
Yeah.
kept happening.
Yeah, and I also think they're gonna get caught with a lot of backdoors and that they're not gonna be able to guard when Camilla's high like that. Um the spacing on the defensive end when both of them are there is a little bit crowded in the paint too, which I can see being an issue coming up. I really think I think that Camilla also is still not trustful of that shoulder because last year
Mm,
she played through that injury. But E Will looked great. She was running the floor. Like I think a healthy E Will can be a problem for other teams and can definitely help Chicago in the post as well.
definitely. So was there anything that you saw with the rookies? Because they Chicago was a team that actually let their rookies get a significant amount of time. Like, what did you see from them?
Yeah, so for Haley, her defense was great as always. You know, she stuck with her man. She wasn't getting beat a lot. Maddie Westfeld, I thought gave great defensive effort. I thought she was very aggressive getting to the rim when she got that and one. I would like to see a little bit more aggressiveness on the rebound with her, though. As I do know at one point, Beck Allen did kind of take her rebound. She was going for it at the same time. But I want Maddie to be more aggressive. I want her to fight for those rebounds. And she has the motor to do so as well. Um, but it's just she's got to get more comfortable with it, right?
Yeah, I thought their rooks were solid. I like the effort from HBL. I think that she was aggressive on both ends of the court. Like you said, like her defense really stood out. And she got to the free throw line. Like,
Yeah,
and that's what you want. She was able to use her body really well. I like how she showed up in the USA sweatsuit. And I feel like that was her, because she did a lot of bodying in that 3v3 like Olympic run. So I think
yeah,
that she's taken that momentum and she's gotten a lot stronger. I would love to see her get very minimal minutes in this season just so, she can get some legs. Because I think her second year is going to be where she gets more time and she'll really be that backup PG.
yeah, for sure. And we don't know at this point what Sloot's plan is after this season, but it could be Sloot has a wonderful season, calls it, then that's Haley's time to shine and be a point guard, you know? Or
True.
Sloop can have one more season. We don't know yet. But I definitely want to see her set up, though, to take over that lead point guard position.
So moving on to the Indiana Fever versus Washington Mystics preseason matchup. I personally have this as my favorite game thus far of the season. Washington really showed so much promise. I completely went into this matchup expecting Indiana to basically whoop their ass. I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat it. I thought they were gonna get mopped. But what this game went into overtime. Like, when has the last time a preseason game gone into overtime? I need to look up that information actually. Like, when has that happened? And for it to happen against this veteran Fever team, like, sure, okay, they're a new team and they just started playing with each other, but they are veteran players. Like, how many seasons has DeWanna Bonner played? How many seasons? Natasha Howard, like, we're talking about,
Mhm.
I want to say like 17 for DB. Like,
Yes, yes. And Tasha's at least at like 12 or 13 herself.
yeah. So with that said, the Washington Mystics have a lot to look forward to.
Let me tell you, man. Okay, so real talk. I thought it was going to be a belt to ass situation. I thought the Fever were going to come out and, quite frankly, whip the Mystics. If the Mystics were able to compete, I would have been happy. However, what happened in that game far surpassed my expectations. And the thing is, I went to the Mystics Media Day. So I saw the players when they were rotating from different stations and how they were in between rotating those stations. The chemistry is there. They're bonding, and they're bonding fast. And we saw a lot of that on the court, even with Shakira out and with Aaliyah out. What they were able to do, I was impressed with. The offense that Sydney was running, I was very impressed with. The defense he was running, I was impressed with. Like, that starting group did so well. And the Fever, being a group of veterans as they were, having the same amount of time to practice together as the Mystics did not look as good as I thought they were going to at all. And quite frankly, this shows me that Steph White is doing what Christy Sides did already,
Oh,
which I know, and people, listen,
they gonna come for you.
they gonna come for me, but I promise to give fair commentary. I promise to critique everybody fairly. So come for me if you want, but they showed the same thing, which is the offense starts and ends and is dictated by Caitlin Clark. Because without Caitlin Clark on the floor, they were looking lost. They were looking a little confused on some of those plays. Like, it was not there. There was no real direction of how to rotate through the play. And what I said before the season started, Sophie getting upset, DB getting upset, it takes them out of their game for a little bit. It throws them off a little bit. And that's what we saw happening. However, however, ball movement was so much better. I was a little confused, but it made sense why Steph started a full court press defense instead to really throw the Mystics off rhythm. Those were good points. And Natasha Howard, she had some highlights for me. She had some really good looks. She was very aggressive with her play. Um, Defensively, though, a little bit more. I think she needs to work on. Um, Sophie was their offense. Let's be real. Sophie was their offense. And Aaliyah Boston has some really good looks too. I thought she was a little bit more aggressive. Footwork was there as well. And I thought she was one of the bright spots of what the Fever were able to do. Because when she was off the floor, it was pretty obvious that she was off the floor.
I'm glad that you brought up the full court press because I don't remember seeing the Fever do a full court press last season. And I honestly don't see teams in the W doing it enough. And that is exactly what changed the pace of the game for them. It was their defense, and it was off the back of Sophie Cunningham. What I underestimated about Sophie Cunningham coming into this season was her defense. I forgot how bothersome she really can be on the defensive end because truthfully, I was looking more at her offensive production and what she's going to be able to do on the offensive end and comparing it to Lexi Hull and not really seeing that much of a difference between them in point production. But defensively, Sophie is probably their strongest defender when it comes to the guards. Now, her antics on the court are, it's like a pro and a con at the same time. Like, the pro is that it can get the fans fired up, which will in turn get the rest of her team fired up. And, that can be a changing point because she can get in the heads of the opponents and, work it like a Dylan Brooks. I called her the WNBA's version of Dylan Brooks, and I will stand on that because they give me the same type of feelings. I can't stand him. I don't like her. And I'm just gonna be honest. So it's like she is going to be a major factor for them, but like you said, what she did with Phoenix and their temperament in Phoenix and how hot-headed that team was then, that same thing took them out of their game. And
Yep.
it can also take the rest of her team out of the game if she does it in the wrong moment and they get the technical fouls. Okay, the technicals were called in their favor in this game. They were at home, but that might not be the case when they go to other arenas and have different refs. And honestly, if we're gonna talk about the flagrant, I think that flagrant one should have been on both of them because the
Yes.
takedown from Kiki Iriafen would not have happened if Sophie did not hook her arms. That was definitely
Exactly.
a part of the play. I think they both should have been called. It was clear as day to me in the review. So I don't know what the refs were seeing or what their reasoning was for that. But yeah, I completely underestimated Sophie coming into this. She was a huge piece of their offense. Sydney Colson, she started the game, which I was honestly shocked that Sydney started the game. But she didn't look as comfortable in that offense as she has in the past with the Aces. And I don't know if it was the pressure for starting, because let's be honest, when is the last time that Sydney Colson has started a game? So, and then she's in
Yeah.
Gainbridge Arena. This is a whole new climate. So I don't know if some of it was a bit of jitters. I mean, she is a veteran player, but everyone gets, first time jitters. So I don't
Yeah.
know if that was attributed to that. Dewana Bonner was cold as ice. Like, but the
Listen.
thing about it is she has had many games like that last season. Like it was
Yeah.
so many seasons where she was like, I mean, so many games where she was like 2 for 17 or 4 for 7, something crazy, right? So when on paper, when I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at just that one season. I'm like looking at all of her production throughout her time in the W, and I'm like, on paper, this looks really good for the Fever, but this game revealed what some of the games can look like for them. Now, the bright side for her is that she does play really good defense, and she's so long, she can get in a passing lane and be really disruptive in that way. And she was a big part of that comeback because the Fever were down by 15 points at one
Yeah.
point. And to the Mystics, credit, Sonia Citron looked amazing.
That's
And
our rook.
that is your rook. And you
That's
told
our
us, you
rook.
told us that
Yeah.
she was going to be able to do this. And I think that her off-ball movement, her defense, like she shut down Kelsey Mitchell.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, she's ready. Like, that's all I needed to see. If she can shut down Kelsey Mitchell, I think that's comparable to a lot of other elusive guards in the league. If she can play defense that well on Kelsey Mitchell, who I think is a top 25 player, she can do it
Yes.
anywhere. She can do it against anybody. And I'm so excited.
And not only on Kelsey, part of DB going cold was when Sonia switched onto her and she was defending her. Like, and she also defended Sophie, which she made Sophie pass the ball. Like,
I remember that.
Sonia's, I've said it and I stand by it, and I said it again yesterday. She is who the Mystics needed. And it was mainly her defense, but also her off ball movements, her cuts, her ability to know that, okay, hey, my shot's not right here, but I see the cutter coming, so I'm going to pass it off and assist it. Like, her basketball IQ is something that people don't talk about a lot. And she has a really high basketball IQ, and she has a high ceiling of what she can do, which is why I was so gung ho about us drafting her and why I was pushing for, like, Sonia needs to be drafted.
Yeah, I'm glad that they heard your pleas because the backdoor cuts, like her backdoor cuts were so important to that offense, and it had me wishing like Jade make the cut. It was so many
Yes.
times where the ball got picked up like at the top of the key or like on the wing of the perimeter, and Jade would and it's stuck. The person
Yep.
picked up their dribble, they couldn't move, and Jade is just standing there and she's not making the cut to get open. I'm like, go back door, Jade. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. With that
Yes.
said, speaking of Jade, like the vets for the Mystics did not come to play to me. Like, in my opinion, they were outshined by the rookie presence. And I brought this up in my recap video. I think that the Mystics just need to go ahead and do what they need to do. Like, they need to fully invest. And if you're gonna, we criticize them for the young team, in our
Yeah.
first podcast, but now I'm with them. I see the vision. I see the vision. So if we're gonna do it. Just fully, get all rookies and do what you need to do to clear up some capital and bring in some vets that can be more of an impact. But Jade, Sugg Sutton, Emily Ingsler, I was not impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I predicted with the rosters that it was going to be Emily or Shug that was cut, one of the two. And from what I saw in this game, I still think I'm right. Now, I will say Emily was a menace on the defensive end, but offensively, she wasn't always in the right spots to make the baskets. Why
I know what play you're talking about before you even say
being that
anything.
close to the basket? Why do a jumper when you can like put it high off the glass and knock it in? Why? Like I just what was the thought? And that has me questioning because for both her and Shirley, this is their fourth year in the league. Like this is their fourth year. There should be a little bit more growth there with that. What I will say about Emily is last season she would get flustered and would really take her out of the game. She was more level headed this game, and that impressed me. That showed some growth there. Um, y'all can look at my threads. I said take Suge out and put Zay Green in instead. And that fourth quarter and that OT time, what Zay did showed me exactly why I said that. She was very aggressive with her shots. She was making the right cuts and moves to free up space for other people. Lucy Olson, like Lucy Olson impressed me. I was a little bit familiar with her game. I knew what she can do, but her defensive end is what impressed me more than anything. There was a little hesitation on the elbow jumper when her second one that she had, which I wish she would have just taken the shot because she had a good chance of making it. But it was just like I see why he went to her early, and it makes sense. And I think she can be a good guard off the bench for us.
I'm really interested on why Sutton played as much as she did. She played 31 minutes. She had the most minutes, significantly like more minutes than anyone else on the team, even compared to other veterans. So I have a somewhat of a theory is because he really didn't make many substitutions after the fourth quarter got rolling and he took out Sonia Citron. He pretty much left that same team for the end of the fourth, and they played the entirety of that overtime.
Yeah,
I kind of think that those players that were left in at overtime might be the players that end up getting cut. Like not all of them, but a good
some
a
of them.
good bit of them. Yeah, a good bit of them
Yeah,
might end up getting cut because he's just like, I don't want to play my key players like anymore for this game. He kind of just let it ride because honestly, if they had to play more of their prominent players, I don't even think Indiana would have won the game. Like
no.
they literally conceded. They were like, whatever happens, happens. And Stephanie White, I didn't even get to drag her a little bit like I did in my recap video, but she blew. Girl, you played like your main play, like you really wanted to win this game. I don't
Yep.
even think at some point it changed from okay, let me get chemistry, let's see the chemistry between this new team to okay, I really want to win this game right now.
Yep.
Like this, it doesn't matter. Like it really, like
Right.
this win does not matter for real. But I feel like there was an energy about Indiana, like they really, really wanted to win this game.
Yep. They didn't want to lose the first preseason game at home. That's really what it is. They did not want to lose that game. Because I'm sorry, but Tosh and DB looked winded. They looked winded a little bit into going into that fourth before she pulled them. We didn't even see Jillian Allen. Like she didn't go out there. Bree Hall didn't go out there. I don't understand the rationale behind that because you played Sophie, Lexi, and the rest of your bench players that would be your first rotators in through garbage time, essentially. And
Talk
you
about
know
stat
you
padding.
right, you know you're not cutting those players. You listen, Sophie ain't going anywhere, Lexi ain't going anywhere. Put them on the bench. Throw the other people in. Damaris Dantas didn't even go into game once. Like,
I'm very interested to why, because that was like there was no reason for that. There was no injury report. Like she just didn't play. Like,
right. And
what is that about?
I don't understand it. I don't know if it's I did read recently that she lost someone in her family, so I don't know if
Okay.
that's the reason why or what, but I would have liked to see more minutes from more of her bench players than what they did. And on the Mystics end, you're right. I think those are some of the players that are going to get cut because the one thing that I noticed on my rewatch from the fourth to overtime, they lost it because of fouls. They lost it because of taking too long to get into sets. That was the problem. There's too many shot clock violations that were unnecessary and not needed.
Overall, just poor decision making in some of the shots that they did take. But they had
Yeah,
like three opportunities, even with the most inexperienced players on the court. The Mystics still had like three opportunities. They were still scrappy. They were still getting those offensive rebounds off of, you
yeah,
know, prominent players on the Fever team. Talk about Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull had like 34, like Sophie Cunningham had 34 minutes and I think Lexi Hull had 32 or 31. That is
yeah.
crazy to me. And
I
the majority of the game they were playing the rookies. Like at one they took out Brittany Sykes. They put
mhm.
it, they took out the prominent players for the Mystics and yeah, it was garbage time. They were playing in garbage time and they really just did not want to lose that game. So if moral victories were a thing, I say the Mystics still won the game.
Listen. I'm not a moral victories type of person. Uh, but I do like what I'm seeing from the team. They are scrappy. They're gonna go out there and give you effort. But I also like, and these are things I look at too, is Coach Johnson on the side. Every player that he pulled out, he had something to say to them, and they all shook their head and was like, okay. And it seemed like when those players went back in, they played a little bit different. So I think that's a good sign of what he's doing to kind of build them up to let them know, like, hey, this is where we need to tighten up a little bit. And I'm gonna commend Slim because I think Slim had a hell of an effort, and especially with Sophie hooking and pushing, because she pushed Sonya down too, and that's Slim's baby right there. She pushed her down for no reason. She stood up for herself, right? She was like, "You're not going to do this to me. You're not going to do this to my rookies," and I commend her for that because she could have gone full crash out, and she did not. So we got growth. We got growth all around for everybody here. And
Yeah,
it's one of those things where I think some of the rookies, like you said, are definitely going to make it. I liked flashes of what I saw from Morgan Jones and flashes of what I saw of JoJo Lacey. I think they both made um, good shots at the right time. They made reads at the right time. We were definitely missing Shakira and her aggressiveness and her rebounding, and we're missing that with Aaliyah too. So I think that's where Ashton's going to come in. For me, and I know you put it out there too. Ashton's got that backup big spot. In my opinion, she's got it.
I
That's her
want it for
spot.
her. I want it for
Yeah,
her so bad. I really like what I saw. I think that she's even more aggressive than Stephanie Dolson when it comes to like banging in the post. Because,
yeah.
Stephanie likes to be on the perimeter. Right? She really a guard in her mind. So I
Yup, yup.
think that Ashton is going to be a good balance of that off of the bench. Some of those shots that I know that she can make didn't go in,
Yeah,
but it just takes reps. But that's what she's known. She's known for her perimeter shooting too. Like when she was at Stanford and she won the national championship, she's
yeah.
known for perimeter shooting. So I'm very hopeful that she will land a roster spot because honestly, I don't know of too many comparable centers that have that range that are left in the free agency pool.
No,
So they're gonna need it. Now looking at the Sophie Cunningham move from Indiana and why she's there in the first place and just her track record. Like some people, think that she's there to be this enforcer. And then when I listen to the commentators, because we got the Indiana Fever commentators for that game,
God. Yeah.
and and
I
like they
wanted to mute
were,
him.
I wanted to mute them so bad, but I also still like hearing in-game sounds. But it's like they kept using the word spicy, and they're like, she, doesn't play around, and just like some of the language and some of the things that she does is frankly what other players in the league get ridiculed for or chastised for. Like the same spicy is also known as like unsportsmanlike or
Yep.
thug behavior if you're, listening to the comments in the on social media. So talk about, because I saw you make this point online about the difference between like Sophie Cunningham and what other players of color in the league, the difference in the tone in that situation. So I want you to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, all right, let's look at this. We got Sophie does a lot of pushes, she does a lot of hooks, she does a lot of throwing her hands, getting in your face, and then either backing up slowly and letting her other teammates handle it or hiding her hands. And I think about Kennedy Carter, right? That's my main example of last season when she got let her emotions get the best of her. We saw the play, we saw what happened. They ridiculed her. They ridiculed her the entire season. Even though she did not have another incident until the end of the season when she was making another play on the ball, they wouldn't let it live down. And the thing is, Angel gets mad about something. She's called a thug. She's called, bad attitude. And it's not okay. And it's not, I don't want to say fair because life is fair, but it's not okay that in a league predominantly of Black women, we are not allowed to express our emotions without it being an attitude, without us being labeled as too aggressive. Whereas Sophie can do it. Um, who else was doing it? Sammy Whitcomb sometimes will get into people's faces. Like you've got all these. Brianna Stewart, I mean, she waves at people, but Stewie gets into people's faces.
Even Diana
Sabrina gets
Taurasi.
yes, DT. Sabrina gets into refs' faces all the time. Like it's okay for them, but it's not okay for us. And I don't like that narrative. I don't like that Caitlin Clark, she gets in someone's face. You want to call her spicy or, spicy Caitlin's at it today. But if Angel does it, if Asia does it, if BG does it, like it's not okay for us to do it. And I don't like that. I don't
I
like
don't
that
like
at
the
all.
whole de-escalation committee for Caitlin Clark. Like I don't
Yes.
understand because it just feels like coddling to me. I don't understand why that is celebrated, that her teammates have to be this de-escalation committee for her because she should be able to, regulate her own emotions. And I think that she can. And
Yeah.
she's already made the statement that she wants to get less technicals like this season. So
Right.
I think you're right. Like there is this double standard, and it's mostly, I'd say, from people outside of the league, unless you're the Indiana Fever commentators. I feel like
Exactly.
I
Yep,
feel
yep,
like
yep, pretty much.
most of it is from like other broadcast, forums like, Stephen A. Smith when he
Yep.
did his whole spiel on people are bullying Caitlyn. It comes in the comment section from Caitlin Clark fans, and now Indiana Fever fans are doing the same thing with Sophie Cunningham and the Kiki
Yep.
Area fan and Brittany Sykes situation. Like I'm seeing it a lot, and
Yeah.
it's just like, how are you turning a blind eye to what Sophie Cunningham has been known for the entirety of her career, dating back to when she played at Missouri? Like she has always been known as a bully or a dirty player, to be honest. Like she's been that way for a very long time. And if you think that this game was like a one-off situation where people just wanted to push her down and for no reason, like you're either, being voluntarily ignorant or you're just ignorant.
I think another thing that we have to look at is a whole team of players does not want to move you out of the way or you constantly end up on the ground if you're not doing something, right? And you can't excuse her behavior but then want to police everyone else's behavior. Like that's not a thing. And no, the whole team didn't just wake up and decide Sophie's the one that we're going to go after today. Absolutely not. Also, the Indiana Fever literally have a crash out room. They have a crash out room. Come on. Like, we're in a professional league that your team had to build a room for you to go in and crash out in halftime. That's a problem. That's a problem. And the whole de-escalation committee, I just feel like that's another commentary on um the view of some folks of how black labor is used and how it's they make it into a joke when it's really not a joke and it's not something that's funny.
Right. Absolutely. I think we're in for a very theatrical season from the Indiana Fever, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what this team does or doesn't do. I'm excited to troll their audience because I will continue to root against them for the entirety of the season. And even though they have players on the team that I like, I mean, honestly, I like the majority of their players. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
rooting against them because I have to root against somebody, right? I can't like everybody. Like, I pretty much have a group of favorites and it's half of the WNBA team. So I have to have somebody that I don't like. So I mean, it's nothing against them personally, but yeah, I gotta do it for the culture.
Yes,
So
yes.
before we end it here, let's give some social media rankings. How have these teams done since starting back and having to compete with Unrivaled? Because now we're used to a certain level of content. So what's your rankings of the WNBA teams?
So I have my list, and I'm being honest with you. I posted this list maybe like 3 or 4 days ago, and it hasn't changed. So the Wings killing it with their content. They're giving us a lot of different variety of content. They're showing all of the players' personalities, or at least the main players that are willing to participate. I rank the Aces at second, the Valkyries at three, Sparks at four, Storm at five, Fever at six because they are posting good content aside from the campaign and the implications of that campaign. Mercury at seven because they've gotten AT in some videos. AT was in a TikTok, which we know that is difficult based on
Right.
Unrivaled. Sky, I have them at number eight, the Sun at number nine. For the Chicago Sky, I would like to see them post more on their main page and not do this the IG channel of sending us stuff because that's another thing that you have to subscribe to that comes to your inbox versus like scrolling that you can see main.
Mm.
Liberty at 10, they really haven't given us that much. Atlanta at 11. Mystics, listen, y'all are on notice. Y'all are on notice. I ride hard for this team. I'm literally wearing a Britney Sykes shirt, right? The pictures are too dark. The videos are too dark. We're getting videos with no sound or music or anything. What is happening? We can lighten these things up. I promise you guys. It is easy to do the editing. Like, we want content. You're giving me a drought. You're giving me a drought here, and I'm here all season. So please, more content. And Minnesota, y'all are last, but I can give y'all at least a little pass because the Timberwolves are in the playoffs, and I know that y'all share social media teams. But Mystics, y'all have no excuse. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I'm so surprised at their content production, being that they're like the number two team in the league. Like they should be way better than what they are.
Right? Listen, y'all got Courtney Williams on your squad. You got Natisha Heidemann. That is a comedy duo built in right there, right? Throw Fee in there. Throw Have Courtney and Natisha babysit Mila for a day. I would love to see that content because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
Yeah. They're missing some opportunities. Honestly, Courtney Williams could be like their version of like Sydney Colson, like if they really
Yes.
put the effort into it. So hopefully they hear you and they step it up. Now, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, I just love talking hoops with you. Oh, we got the dog. Like
Sorry.
the dog is hyped
Right?
because like right now.
He
Yeah,
had to.
so Every Sunday, we're going to give you something different. We're going to give you something new. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, drop it in the comments. As always, folks, let's talk hoops.